Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Chita from capacitybay.org and I'll be your facilitator for today's topic. In our previous class, we discussed about CSS Box model. In this section, we'll be talking about CSS sizing. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Now, in CSS sizing, we give size to our contents, to our elements, to our front, like this page. These are paragraphs. These fronts we give size to them. Now to do this, we use unit of measurements. Unit of measurements. We'll be discussing about 4 units of measurements, which is pixels, percentage, em, and rem. These are 4 units of measurement we'll be discussing in this section. Now, the first one, which is pixels. Pixels is static unit of measurement. It's not scalable, it's not flexible, it's static. Another thing about pixels is that pixels is not relative to any element in HTML. It stays on its own. Before we start styling, let's first of all see this our web page in a web browser. Look at how it looks like. Now, take note that the default font size for HTML is 16 pixels. This is 16 pixels. This is 16 pixels. Now, let's look at this. Let's take our H1 and style by giving it H1. Let's give it a font size of 90 pixels. Now, we see this. My name is Chita. It's taking 90 pieces now. Let's check. Let's go to settings, go to appearance, go to this. Let's put it to be small. See, this one scale, this one changes, but this does not change. It's static. You put it to be very small, you find that it remains the same. It does not change. Okay, that's for that's for pixels. Pixels is static. Another thing I said is not relative to any element. Now take note that another thing we need to take note is that 16 pixels is equals to 100%, and also equal 16 pieces is also equals to 1 em, is also equals to 1 rem. So 16 pieces is 100%, and 16 pieces is equals is also 1 em. 16 pieces is 1 rem. Now let's use rem for this. What is before rem? Let's go to percentage. Percentage is dynamic unit of measurement. Now percentage is relative to the parent element. Is relative to the parent element. Now for us to get the um, the percentage of 60 pieces, what we need to do is to do some calculation. 90 divided by 16, we will have this. Then we times it by 100, which will give us 562.5 percentage. 562.5 percentage. If we check it on the browser, we will discover that it's the same thing. This is as the same as 90 pieces. Now let's check if this is dynamic. As I said, you see these changes. Let's take to very small. This also changes, is dynamic, unlike pieces that is static. Okay. Now the next one I want us to talk about is em. But before, okay, let's talk about em. Em is dynamic. em is relative to the nearest element, is dynamic, is scalable. Now let's to get 90 pieces of em, what we need to do is to divide 90, say 90 divide by 16. Then we have, what we will have is 5.62 5.625 em. It will be as the same as 90 pieces. Let's check, look at it. Let's check if this will change. As we say, is dynamic, it change. Let's check again if this will change. It change, that means it's dynamic. That means this is dynamic. Now another one we will talk about is, but before we talk about rem, let's look at something about percentage and em. I said they are relative. Percentage is relative to the parent element. Let's give body front size of 32 pieces. Now let's look at this now. If I, you see what happened here, front size of 32 pieces. Why is it like that? This em takes from this nearest element, which is the body element. It takes 32 pieces first before it does what? It takes 5.62 em of 32 pieces. The same is applicable to percentage. The same thing is applicable to percentage. If we have percentage is 90 pieces of percentage is 562.5%. The same thing will happen here. Look at this. Why? Because body here is the parent element of H1. Look at it. This H1. Body is the parent element. This is the child element. It will take, it will give you 32 pieces first, then it will add 562.5% of 32 pieces. But if I have HTML here, if I have pieces here, that will not happen. If I have 90 pieces, if I go there, you see it will not affect this H1. H1 will remain the same. Are you seeing it now? Because pieces we say is not relative to anything, it's not dynamic. Now the last one I want us to discuss is rem. Rem is relative to the root element. If I use um if I use 5.625 rem, it will not take from this body element. It takes from the root element, which is the HTML element. And the default size for this HTML element is what? Is 16 pieces. So what happened now? It will give you 5.62 rem of 16 pieces. This is what will happen. Now when we check it, you see what happened. Look at it. It will take the same thing, and this is dynamic, is scalable. Now another thing I want you to see, okay, let's go to let's pick our p tag. I have a front size of, let's say, 1 rem. Now it will be the same. This is telling us to give us 1 rem of 16 pieces. 1 times 16, this is what it is like. Let's use this as, let me put this to be 48 pieces and take this to be 2. Now this will be 2 times 16, which will give us what? 32. This will be 32 pieces. This our paragraph will be 32 pieces. You see it there. See this 32 pieces. Then if I put 1 here, it will be 1. It will be 1 times 16. See, 16 pieces, which is 1 times 16, 16 pieces. That is it. It's not relative to the parent element or any relevant element, but only relative to the root element. But pieces are static. They are not relative to any element. It's not relative to any element at all. It stays on its own and it does not change. And that will be all for this section. If you have any question, drop that in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification icon to get notified whenever we drop a new video. See you in next section.